Hey guys, the power company is just about here. I decided to let those guys dig my trench and run my line because it was only a couple $100 more and I wouldn't have to dig a hole. So, sorry guys, they're going to dig my hole today. They're going to get the power line run up and hooked up to the building, and then we can continue forward with the rest of the build. Well, for lighting, I bought the Hyperlight LED, the UFO lights. You see them all over the interwebs. Everyone on YouTube has done a video on them already. I did not realize, however, that there's two different versions of those, or levels of those. I was cruising around on Amazon and I was like, ooh, they got the UFO lights, and they were on a Prime deal for like $250 for 10 of them. Let's get them. Got them, plugged them in, and was not impressed. And there's kind of light. So, I had to make the decision to figure out what I was going to do, if I was going to do those 4-foot fluorescent whatever LED or whatever fixtures and put a butt ton of those in and redo all my outlets and things that I already had laid out for the Hyperlights. As I contacted the company, they send you this really cool, I'll put it up on a screen, this really cool candle power diagnosis of your shop size and all of the things. And it said I needed 10 of them for my shop layout, which, all right, but that's not 10 of what I bought. When you actually read the email, it tells you you need the Gucci ones. So the Gucci ones are like $700 for 10 of them. This project. So I bought 10 of them. I didn't want to, but you know, I got to be able to see. Seeing's important in here. So I put 2 of them up now on the switch just to see what it does. And here you go. Well, I guess I'll move you this way. This is 2 of those lights. Wrong switch. And you can't see anything because you're on the TV and it doesn't adjust right. But in this area, at daytime, I got a decent amount of light. These things are bright. I think with 10 of these in here, it's gonna be nice. That one. I'll put a link down there in the description for which brand this is. It's not even their brightest one. It's only the 150 watt of this version. There's a 200 watt and a 250 watt, so if you need to go brighter than what I got, they told me I needed 150 watt. I think that's gonna be adequate for what we're gonna do in here. It's Thursday. We've got indications and warnings of high weather, high winds, and possible tornadoes coming this weekend. So I guess we're gonna take a break from doing everything else we're going to do and make sure that everything's locked down and secured. I'm going to see if I can't get some vehicles in the shop and make sure the shop itself is good to go. It's going to be a challenge coming over the lip because I don't have all the gravel there that I need to get in. So I got the one ramp kind of built up. I'm going to try to get everything in this side and see what we see from there. Tried moving dirt bag over, but you know, the power steering pressure line decided to so all I ended up doing was painting the floor with power steering fluid. So that's fun. At least we got our first spill out of the way. Anyways, I'm going to see if I can get the chevelle over this hump and get that in here and start tucking things back into corners. It's a nice Missouri 85 today with some humidity. So I took the advantage of the fans in here and having power, and I put my AC units in. So I just put a 2x4 and a fan blowing out. And then on the other side over here, I got same thing but blowing in. Just creating a little bit of a cross breeze happening. And every little bit helps. I got to get all these outlets tied in. I got 6 of them to do still for the overhead lights. So I get the lights mounted, 8 outlets. Probably heard me say that. I got to get those done. So we're going to get that knocked out while it's nice and cool in here. All right, 10 lights installed. Should be enough. That's what they say is enough from Hyperlight. So let's see what they say is enough. One day. It's not bad. Pretty well illuminated. For daytime and having a couple lights on in here, especially LEDs, they're not bad. So that's one more thing checked off the list. I guess now I gotta finish up all the other outlets around the wall, and then we can say that the power install is about done. I did get one outside light hooked up. I still got 2 more, 3 more to do, I think. Little guy up here. I still gotta put one right here and one on the back side. And then I gotta run one over the back door also. They're not super bright. They're just a little LED. I think they're Hyperlight also. I got the generic ones, of course. 4-pack. I don't know. They got the dawn to dusk sensor. I'm not going to be having them on. I don't want to illuminate my shop. Some guys like the sconces, little wall lights and things. So you look at your pretty shop you spent all that money on. I want mine to hide. It's in the forest. You don't need to see it. But if I want to see something outside, moving a trailer or something, I want to be able to see that too. So that should be just enough light to do that. If I got to go pee out back, I can turn that light on so the bears don't get me. So I'll get those up someday. Right now I think I'm going to clean up a little bit in here and make sure everything's tied down for the storm that's supposed to be coming through. I got metal and junk everywhere, so I'm going to try to get some wood on that so it don't blow away and get the shop cleaned up. So I couldn't do a video on lighting and not show you the lights. It's dark now. I'm going to go ahead and kick on the outside lights. These little guys are not that bad. Just enough that I can see out here to get to the trailer or back something in, drop it off. Now, I'll give you the inside shot. Ready for this? I am. Ah! Good Lord. It's like brighter than daytime in here. Well, all right, Hyperlight. It's not bad. Nice. All right, guys, it's Friday morning. Tomorrow, weather dependent. We got a couple things planned. There's a car show in Doniphan, ag racing event at the Sykeston Raceway. A couple of the local guys have been calling each other out, Davey Samples and Aaron Cup. They're supposed to have a heads-up grudge match up there, and I guess the loser of that match has to wear a dress. So that will finally get solved of whose truck is faster. I got to be there to see that. I cannot not see that. I was the main instigator on the last little race that they had, up the ante that the loser wears a dress, and that's all in the last video. This time they're going to show it down. The winner is going to succeed, and the loser has to wear the dress. So we're going to make sure that we get there to see that. I'm also trying to bring Dirtbag. It decided to pee all over itself yesterday, so we're going to get into it, see what the problem is on this, if we can get it fixed. I'd like to have this on a trailer because I'm going to destroy it in the burnout pit and probably have to winch it back on the trailer. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing running so it's not pouring fluid out everywhere, get the burnout tires on there, and get it loaded on the trailer so we can head out early in the morning. Let's see if we can get that done. Working in the shop, which is something I've been waiting a long time to do. This is very nice. Anyways, got this thing spun around, replaced the hose. I guess I should show you the hose of what went wrong. That's the pressure hose. You know, fluid's supposed to stay on the inside of that, so obviously that was bad. Put it on timeout over here. Now we're going to fill this power steering pump up. I'm running the $65, $70 bracket. You can get an ICT bracket that houses the power steering pump and the alternator for the S10s, or I've got the same style of the ICT one on the Chevelle. Literally the exact same bracket, just different manufacturers. And this one is MSCRP, something or other. I'll put the link down there. It's like 60 bucks. Works great once you figure out where all the spacers go and how it sits in there and all the things. However, there's one problem that for the extra $100 for Dirtbag, I don't care if it was a Chevelle, I'd probably would make sure I got the ICT one for this. You can't fill it. I mean, you can, but normally they clock it just a hair that way so that you can get to the filler neck there. I've been thinking about taking one of those S10 filler jobs that kind of does this number and goes back, and kind of bending it and welding it and modifying it so it would work, but you know, that's stuff you do when you got spare time. So I'm going to put some fluid in here, check off the other fluids. I did manage to adjust my Caltrac bars, or my eBay bars. At ride height, they were pointing down, which, you know, anti-squat numbers and things is not good. I would like to have dropped the rear down more, give it some more bite, because that's a more extreme angle change, but I only have one hole in the back, like most of you guys. But in the front here, there's 2 holes. I raised it up one. You can see I've already been scraping the hell out of one of them. I don't know, maybe that was when I was coming in out of here, I don't know. If this ends up working, I'll probably lop those 2 off, because that is hanging down pretty low. But I'm gonna get some fluids in this, fire it up, figure out a way to get it off this lip here, and try to take it for a test drive, see how it hits. So the S10's got some potential, still needs some tuning. We're going to move on to the Chevelle now, see what it needs, check out this wastegate. Started taking the wastegate apart of the Chevelle to see why I'm shooting up to 15 pounds of boost. I'm thinking it's a wastegate. Started happening, it's not an issue that was there before, so that tells me it's not a design issue, it's not boost creep or something like that. So I just got an issue happening that the wastegate is not opening. So my vacuum line off the intake manifold goes into the wastegate, all that stuff's plumbed correctly. I can't find any leaks, although I haven't hooked anything up to check it because I don't have air in here yet. But I did just shotgun order it apart. I got a wastegate, it came today. Took the old one off and it looks all right. There's one spot where it's kind of like folded over a little bit, but I don't know. You gotta see it there. I don't know if that was just pinched under the lip and it wasn't allowing it to open all the way to get. So basically we're just doing some more automotive archaeology to figure out what's going on. I've got it apart now. Got the new wastegate sitting there. I had to take this clamp off to kind of get around to some things. One thing I wanted to point out is, I've covered this before. If you're using, this is a good DEI heat wrap, expensive stuff. And if you're using heat wrap on something that gets above the recommended range, like these, all these exhaust pipes, they got red hot during the burnout event. These are meant for, I don't know, make 11 or 1200, I'll have to pull the specs, 11 or 1200, something like that. Max temperature for this heat wrap. Naturally aspirated, wrapping headers, exhaust, all those things. You probably won't see that. You're probably going to see 600 to 800, maybe 1000 if you're getting on it. When you get them red hot, that's above that threshold. So you need a different type of heat shield, different type of wrap, little thermal barrier, if you will. So what we're going to be doing later is we're going to be adding some more products from a company. I'll get into that in another video, but it's going to be similar to this type of material, where you have an insulative layer and then a conductive layer or a barrier over top of that. This stuff does work great in its application, but this is not the application. I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like a chip, and it's literally hard like a cookie. Kind of smells like it too. But that shouldn't be all hard, chunky, and burnt like that. That means it got hot and melted. Even the heat wrap can melt. The more you know, as they say in Reading Rainbow. So I'm going to keep going and see if I can figure out what's going on with this and get this wastegate back together. I got the wastegate back together with the lips not rolled. So that was fun. I ended up using some I don't know what these are, little clampy clamps, little wood deals, cinching it down slowly, and then a little pick in there to make sure that the diaphragm was seated. I did notice that on the backside port here, so the wastegate's plumbed into the bottom. That's where it gets the manifold signal or the boost when it comes through, or vacuum if you're not in boost. There's 3 ports on this one, and then there's, I don't know, 2 more for water cooling if you're going to do that, but 3 of these ports are for the vacuum, so you could clock it however you're going to clock it. I guess one of my plugs fell out, so I had a straight vacuum leak, one. That's why it was running a little bit doo-doo-ish. And then I had a, I guess you would say a boost leak, so it wasn't getting the reference signal to even open the wastegate. And it also was definitely not getting the signal to open it because the wastegate sits on top of the flange here, right there, and the clamp was finger tight. And you can see all the way around this before I cleaned it up. Heck, you can kind of see it on the backside here. It was just dumping exhaust out around it, so it was not building up, I don't know, signal to open the wastegate. It was turboing, but it was not. Psh. There you go. I explained it. So we got that cleaned up, got that figured out. I'm going to set this guy back on there. So when you get ready to put this thing on, there's a fire ring down here in the bottom. This little ring helps seat and seal against this. But as you can see, it sits down in that little groove right on that piston. Well, that piston is pushed down by your spring pressure in here. So if you're trying to put this on to get the clamp around, you got to compress this so that that edge is almost flush like that. And if you're pushing against your spring pressure, you got to push. Yeah. Yep. A little bit in there. You can try to squeeze it down, like mash down on your pipe there and try to get the clamp in there, but you're doing 6 different things at once. So the easiest way I found is just give a little air pressure on here. I'll show you. So I got this little vent hose here. I'm just going to borrow that. Excuse me, buddy. Stick that over here. Essentially all I'm going to do is give it air pressure just like the boost pressure would, but for my air compressor, when I'm not fighting with the engine. And if you watch, it'll just drop down. So it just kind of drops down, so it just compresses that fire ring on there. So if you keep your regulator on your compressor down to like 20 pounds or so, you can just hold that shut, snip your clamp on. Free advice to anybody that's laying out their turbo or mocking it up or whatever and happen to be watching this, or if you're going to do one in the future, remember this. Leave room. Get your big old hands around here. You're going to be taking these 2 clamps off to get the wastegate off. You're going to be changing the wastegate. You're going to be adding springs to the wastegate. You're probably going to be taking your turbo on or off, upgrading it, changing it, checking seals, doing things, maintenance. Be able to get your hands all around it and look at things. Because if you did like I did and you got big hands and you can't get in there, it's a bear to get in there and you just won't do the maintenance. So help yourself out. All right, so we got that on there. Everything's tightened up. I think the wastegate problem should be fixed. We're gonna fire it up, see if we can check for any leaks, and then see if I can test drive this thing. Get kind of weird because I don't have the gravel, I can't drive it out. I'm not a tuner. I don't pretend to be. I do try to get my stuff kind of close because I'm cheap and I don't like paying someone to do it. This thing now makes, I redid the math, it's making 12 pounds of boost. With the springs that it's in there, it's like one's a 6.5 and one's a 5.5. So that's 12. It's making a rock solid 12 on the gauge. And in the seat of the pants, oh my God, this is twice the car that it was with twice the boost. It's only 12. I don't know, maybe we'll turn it up later. I got to get used to this. I have zero traction anywhere. I'm gonna have to play with the suspension some. As soon as you get into the boost, if you're loaded up in the gear and you're $4,000 and you roll into it, it just lifts the front end and wants to take off. Front end's a little light. I'm gonna have to get some aero on the front to kind of bring that back down. It's sketchy. It's just sketchy is the best word that I can describe this. This car still scares me every time I drive it. If you roll into the gas, you're going. I did put 3-point seat belts in there. It probably needs a roll cage. That was the me fuse. I didn't want to get too fast that I would need the roll cage, but the roll cage would make me think I needed to go fast, so I would put more stuff on it. Well, I'm at the point now. I'm probably going to have to put a roll cage in this thing and some harnesses, and then that changes the whole build. So I don't know what we're going to do with this thing. I might just drive it and try not to be an idiot, which if you guys know me or see me drive, that doesn't happen often because I like to go fast and I'm probably going to die. So maybe when I do, you guys can watch these videos and go, ha, idiot. But this thing is ridiculous. The wastegate problem is no longer a problem. When you actually feed the signal to the wastegate that tells it when to do wastegate things, it works. I put some Loctite on all those little plugs and bolts and things and clamp down the clamps real tight. I'm just gonna have to check those. Those are gonna be one of those things you gotta check on constantly to make sure it works. Blow-off valve is working good. It's not sticky or gummed up. I did have that fire extinguisher spray stuff everywhere, so that's getting into all my moving pieces. One day, maybe over the winter, I'll take this thing apart and clean it up, give it some love and things, but I just love beating on it. I love these LS motors. I know some of you guys don't like them. Whatever, they're cheap, $400-500 for a 5.3, and you throw a cam and some springs at it, maybe even a turbo, and you beat the living crap out of them, and they just run. I mean, look at Dirtbag. I beat the crap out of it at the drag strip the other day, and it just took it time and time again. It needs some stuff to make it, to optimize it, to get it faster, but the engine itself, it just keeps going. So, I guess that'll be the end of this video. I got to get some more stuff done in the shop, obviously, but we've got a good bit accomplished. We got the lights in here, we've got power in here. I can kind of start working in here. I'm not moving stuff in because I still got to do spray foam and walls and shelves and all that stuff, so I'm not really moving in. But it is nice to be able to wrench on stuff and get some of these projects done that have just been weighing on my brain holes. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. If you guys are watching this, all that stuff helps me. Send it to your buddies. Just help this stuff grow. The more that this channel grows, the more I can do fun stuff that you guys can watch. We do have a car show coming up. Don't lean on that. We do have a car show coming up this weekend. Boosted Behaviors hosting his big Boost Fest. It does look like it's going to rain though, so we're going to have to see what we're going to do and which car we're going to take. So let me know if you guys are watching this in the comments. Let me know what you want to see. You want me to bring Bluetooth out there and see if I can get Davey to bring Beverly and we can roll those around? Should I bring the boosted vehicle that I have because it's Boost Fest? Should I bring Dirtbag and just nail it down the strip over and over and over? Maybe one of you guys wants to drive home with it. Let me know what you think, and we will see you guys out there. Thanks for watching. Rat Rod.